Welcome, friends, to the Catholic Grief Coach podcast. Today, we are going to talk about when the thing that helped you cope with grief now became the problem. So, welcome back, friends. And this episode, I want to talk about those vices or those things that were helpful, right? In the beginning when your loved one passed away, when they helped you deal with all maybe the guilt and the shame or the anger or the sadness. Like it was very helpful until it wasn't. And I kind of want to backtrack a little bit to like how our human brain works. And so what our human brain does is it kind of has three jobs, okay? The three jobs, the one is to keep us safe. The second one is to seek pleasure. And the third one is to exert as little amount of energy as possible, which makes sense, right? Because when you kind of backtrack through the human timeline, there were a lot of dangers, okay? We Safety meant you were in a group, a community, you had a tribe because if there was numbers, like the tiger wouldn't pick you off, right? It wouldn't eat you. Or if there was another group that was, I don't know, you were fighting with, feuding with war, like there's safety in numbers, okay? So we want to fit in, we want to be part of the group, we want to feel safe, okay? The next thing is to seek pleasure, which again makes perfect sense because we had to repopulate the earth, or I shouldn't say repopulate, maybe we did after the flood, right? But like that's part of it. We are populating the earth. We want things that make us feel good because then that kind of gives us the motivation to go get it, right? So if you look at back in caveman days, if you didn't, if food wasn't pleasurable, you wouldn't go get the food because why would you go do something that was like miserable and not fun? Okay. Why would you go hunt? Like you were doing it because ultimately you knew the food would bring you pleasure. It would bring you energy. Like it was a good thing. Same with, right? Like human relations. Okay. Like you, again, to repopulate, like you're searching for those things. And our body, we also want to exert as least amount of as energy as possible because let's say, again, in caveman days, there was a tiger who recently attacked your village. Okay, you had to exert energy to go fight off the tiger. Well, now you come back and you're trying to rebuild up your energy. So you're eating foods, right? Like which are good and giving you more energy, and then you're going to store it up for the next time the tiger attacks. Okay, so that is how our brain works. It wants to keep us safe, it wants us to seek pleasure, and it wants us to exert as little amount of energy as possible, just in case of an attack. So fast forward now to modern day, and we don't have to hunt for our food. We don't have to walk to a river to get water. We don't have tigers hunting us. We live in a very luxurious, comfortable world for the most part. So the tigers to us nowadays are if we think they're gossiping about us when we walk into a room, that feels very unsafe. Our brain says, red alert, there's a tiger. Like, you better go seek some pleasure. So we go pull up into Starbucks and we get a coffee. Okay. Those are the ways that our brain, in its goodness, in its beauty, works. But it kind of works as against us in the modern day because again, we're trying to exert or we're trying to save our energy. So I'm going to sit down and I'm going to watch Netflix. And it feels good for the short amount of time, right? It's pleasurable. And I feel very safe in my home. So with grief, grief goes against all of that. It goes against our very human nature. We feel very unsafe, right? We start feeling like, who's going to die next? especially like if you've had deaths close together, if there was a tragic death, like you're just like, like who's going to die next? It feels very unsafe. The world feels like you are constantly being under attack. It doesn't feel good, right? Like it feels awful to be in grief all the time. And it feels like you're exerting energy constantly because it is mentally draining. Even if physically you're not doing much different, like it is mentally exhausting to feel sad all day long and to be in grief and all the different emotions that come with it. So our brain then looks to outside ways to start to fill in those gaps. Okay. And with that, we might turn to food. We might turn to alcohol. We might turn to pop. We might turn to scrolling on social media. We might turn to binging on Netflix. Okay. Whatever it is, helped us cope in the beginning with all of those feelings and all the ways that like our brain is like red alert. This is dangerous. This is awful. Find something to make yourself feel better. So we did. But now that thing that we found, or multiple things, are a problem because we're overeating constantly. We're soothing ourselves all the time. We are maybe reaching for a drink constantly because that's what makes us feel good. Okay. And we know we feel that little nudge. This has become a problem. Okay. So it's great that that thing helped us cope, but now we know it's no longer helping us cope with anything other than it's become a problem. Okay. So what we can do with this is to one, I like to write things down, okay? Because our brain does process things differently when we write them down. And anytime we think something, but we don't like take action with it, it's just a thought, okay? And we put it into practice, then it becomes a reality, okay? So I like to write down or like write a letter, like thanking myself, like just seeing, just almost like replaying it in your mind like a movie of like, wow, like that really was hard. That like, thank you for using the food to get through that hard time. Thank you for doing the best that you could with the information you had at that time. Like, so I like to write myself like kind of like a little, just a thank you letter or like a little love note, right? And you can do with it what you want. It can stay in a notebook, or you can be like, okay, I'm gonna burn it, right, in a beautiful smelling candle, or whatever. Rip it up, throw it away. Because that was lovely, right? But now we want to move forward. So how do we do that? And the first is to recognize and again, respond to that kind of that nudge, that call that God's like, all right, my darling daughter, now it's time to really heal, right? We're not going to just keep putting a band-aid on it. I want you to heal. The grief is still there, but I want you to heal in the grief with me. And so, first saying, okay, yeah, like I think scrolling on Facebook or Instagram is a problem for me. I think the amount that I'm drinking every night is a problem. I think that the food that I'm eating, it's a problem. Okay. And kind of side note, maybe nobody else in your life sees this or recognizes this. You can overeat and not be overweight. Okay. You can have food on your mind constantly and not appear to the outside world like it's a problem, but you know it's a problem. Same with like alcohol, pop, social media scrolling, right? Like maybe nobody else in your life has commented on this, has said anything, but you know in your heart of hearts that God is calling you to more. And so that is why we respond. We respond because we're like, yeah, I don't want to be this in this. I was made for greatness. And that is just keeping me back. That's become my little mini God. And I don't want to have that in between God and I anymore. Okay, so just stating that thing that's a struggle, that's an issue, that's become an issue, just stating that and being just vulnerable to yourself, right? And being truthful to yourself that something needs to change. Okay. For me, it was my weight. I was just like, something needs to change. Something's got to give. So once you see that thing, once you recognize your thing, that's when we can start working on it. And it does take time. You can do this on your own. You can just really have a protocol for the day and look at it and be like, okay, I'm going to feel the sadness instead of reaching for the drink at night. I'm going to allow that feeling of guilt instead of reaching for the food. I'm going to feel lonely. I'm going to feel bored. I'm going to have an urge for those things. Those are all feelings, okay? And knowing that I can see those feelings, I can allow the feeling, I can let it pass, and I don't have to act on it by reaching for the drink or my phone or food. So, this again, it takes time. It takes time to start recognizing it. It takes time to start working on that. And you can 100% do that on your own, right? Just like we can 100% go to the gym and figure out how to exercise or do weights or YouTube the thing, right? We can figure that out on our own. But when we feel that call, like, yes, something, I'm ready for that change, that is when I recommend that you hire me, a coach, to show you, just like if we went to the gym, we 100%, we can do it on our own. But sometimes for a little while, it is helpful, super helpful, to have somebody have an outside perspective of us to say, hey, like, in order to get the best results out of this workout equipment, this is how you should use it. Or, hey, squat a little lower here, back a little straighter there, tuck in your tummy, suck that in. Like, that is what I'm like working on your form. And that's what we do in coaching, but it's your mind, right? Like, it's the form of your mind. I pick up thoughts that you don't even know are there. And you look at it as like, well, the sky is blue. So this person doesn't love me because they're not doing this. I pick out those and like say, hey, I think they do love you because they're doing this. Okay, so it just shows you a different perspective, helps you get clarity, helps you look at the ways maybe every night when you go to reach for that drink, your thought is just, oh, finally, I can relax. So, really, what you're searching for is you want comfort, you want relaxation, and how we find that without the drink, or just limiting the drink a little bit, right? Maybe you have it a couple nights a week instead of every night a week, or same with food. I have heard from so many women like the evenings are hard because it's a time where we just naturally start to wind down. We want that comfort, especially if you're a mom. All day long, people have been bombarding you with things. You feel like you have everything in your brain and everybody wants something from you. Evening's time to, you were just coping with it all day, right? You were coping with then even sadness and overwhelm all in that. And then at the end of the day, it's like, oh, now it's me time. But why does our me time always include something that harms us, right? And I don't mean like physically harm. I mean, it could physically harm, right? Like if you keep overeating, if you keep over drinking, keep scrolling, right? Like, why do we choose the me time to include things that are not good for us? So that's what we look at, okay? So I invite you to go to catholicgriefcoach.com and to find out, look for the ways that works best for you, right? I have different programs that work well for some, not for others. They like this thing better than this thing, right? Voxer is a walkie-talkie app. Some people love it because it allows them to connect with me anytime when anything comes up. Some people are like, oh, I just forgot about it. Other people really like the one-on-one over Zoom because it like gives them a time and a space where they can just be like, "Oh, Wednesday at 3 o'clock, I know I'm going to be talking to Nicole and we're going to work through that." So, whatever that looks like for you, CatholicGriefCoach.com. And I can't wait to help you in the next stages of your grief. And as always, I am praying for you to have a blessed day.